Don't be too surprised if Terence "Bud" Crawford retires, real soon, hangs up the gloves, enjoys the fruits of his labor with his family, enjoys all that money he made in the Spence fight and with Top Rank as well. So, the reason why I'm saying this is because everyone always comments on my videos about, Spence, Crawford, this and that. They're saying they want to see Boots and Crawford, and don't get me wrong, I want to see that fight too, but like I've said in past videos, it's not really worth it for Terence Crawford. He's kind of thinking to himself, been there, done that. He's trying to accomplish things that he's never done before, and that would be moving up in weight 2 weight classes to fight a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we got to see how he looks against Israel Madrimov, but still, I think he beats Madrimov and stops him. You got a tough guy in front of you, a tough, guy with a heavy up jab. He's a good fighter, very durable, but I'm just, I think Terence, just takes advantage of him, shows his talent, shows that he's on a different level. The hand speed is what I think is going to be the issue, because this guy has a nice left hook. He's got a big right hand and a good jab, like I said before, a very active jab that's stiff. It's not very it's not like a whip like Crawford's jab is. It's more so, it's got that thump. And at 54, we got to see how Crawford looks, of course, but it's clear to me that in my analysis, I think that Canelo is the fight that Crawford really wants, and I think if he doesn't get that fight soon, he may just consider retiring. Because, you got to think about it, not only from, Terence Crawford's perspective, but from his advisors, his team. Fighting a guy like Boots is a very high-risk, low-reward fight, and right now Terence Crawford wants the big money fights. If he can't get Crawford, he wants Charlo. I'm pretty sure, I've said this before, but I think, in my opinion, that we have a better chance of seeing Spence Crawford Part 2 than we do of seeing Boots get in the ring with Crawford. I just don't think, as much as, Boots may deserve it, as much as he is the guy at 47, I always say that, that throne and the crown kind of fell into his lap because Crawford and Spence obviously moved up to 54, and that fight honestly should have taken place at 54 so that people didn't have the excuses about Spence being drained, this and that. Spence had injuries, and maybe he did have a rib injury, but Crawford still did his thing, proved to be on another level, and Crawford's just the pound for pound #1 right now, and I think he's earned that right to kind of hand pick his opponent. And it's not like calling for Crawford calling out Canelo Alvarez is an easy task. That would be something where, yeah, we could probably criticize him if he was calling out a guy like Tio, because Tio would be going down in opposition as opposed to Canelo. Not to say that, Tio's not a great fighter. It's just, fighting somebody that's at a lower weight class would be considered weak. That's a big reason why, if Canelo were to take the fight with Crawford, he's talking about how people wouldn't give him credit because Terence Crawford would be the one daring to be great coming up in weight. So there's a trade-off for every fighter, but I think for Canelo, if he really wants that fight with Benavidez, he would make it happen already. And then with Terence Crawford, if Canelo doesn't want that fight and still isn't taking the Benavidez fight, he doesn't really have an excuse because he's making a lot of money in both fights. I've said before that I think Terence Crawford and Canelo makes more money than Terence Crawford fighting Boots. I think Terence Crawford and Canelo makes more money than Benavidez and Canelo. I just think it's a big fight. I think that's where the pound for pound fighters are fighting. And not to say that Boots isn't there, Benavidez isn't there. I'm not saying that. I just think that, Crawford and Canelo are big names in the sport that if they were to fight, it would be a huge event. And, that's just top tier boxing and entertainment at the same time. The casual fans would love to see Canelo and Crawford as well. It's just more so, we always like to say that you have to, take care of your own division first. We said that about Teofimo Lopez when he was talking about moving up in weight to fight Crawford at 47 or maybe even 54. And, people hate on him, but I just think he's daring to be great. It's not like he's calling out a bad fighter. He's calling out a fighter that could potentially give him a beating, and that's what excites Teofimo Lopez. He doesn't want to, train for a guy that nobody really knows and then, maybe doesn't have the best performance. But if he doesn't have the best performance against a guy like Crawford, he's still going to get respect. So I think that's more so what's in these guys' minds. They're trying to, fight guys that, yeah, they're daring to be great and they're going to make a lot of money, but if they were to lose, then it doesn't look that bad because, like I said, daring to be great. Like Canelo with Bivol, a lot of people overlook that fight for Canelo and say, it wasn't really a loss because he didn't belong there in the first place, and there's truth to that. But people still want to see, you know, big fights happen. And if you can make Canelo and Bivol, why not make a fight like Canelo and Crawford? I'm still a very strong advocate for that fight, especially because I don't think that Benavidez is gonna give Canelo that $100 million. I don't know if any, you know, promoter or network is going to be willing to put up that money for Canelo and Benavidez, especially if, you know, that revenue that's coming in return might not even be that, might, you know, just be over that. And just giving Canelo $100 million to fight a guy like Benavidez, why are you asking for that much money if it's if in your mind you're very confident? But, you know, Canelo, like Crawford, has gained the right and earned the ability to hand pick and choose who he wants to fight. That's just the reality of the situation. But let's not beat around the bush and act like Benavidez isn't there for Canelo, and that, you know, Boots isn't there for Crawford. You know, these are big fights that should be made, but the actual process of negotiating the fight is what gets in the way. Like any other big, you know, fight, like Spence and Crawford, how long that took. It was all about the negotiations. Who's getting this first? Who's the A side? Who's the B side? How much money do I get versus your cut? So it's just the typical boxing shenanigans that get in the way. But I really think that Crawford is trying to accomplish things that he's never done, and if it doesn't, you know, come to that point, then I think he's probably looking at retirement, because, you know, what else more is there to accomplish, you know, fighting a guy like Tio? You know, I think he might get, you know, Terence Crawford might get more money fighting Teofimo Lopez than he would fighting Boots Ennis. That's how it is. That's just how, you know, the sport of boxing works from an entertainment perspective, where Boots is popular, but I don't know if he's as popular as Teofimo Lopez. And even though Tio's not in Terence Crawford's weight class, you know, he's not even in the next one. He's got to move up 2 weight classes, go to 47, maybe past that, because Crawford's not going to try to make, you know, 47 anymore, fight at 54 with Tio. You know, Tio would be a much smaller fighter. He'd be giving up a lot of advantages in the ring. So, you know, not a very good fight for Teofimo Lopez, but I respect the willingness to take a big fight like that. That takes balls to make a fight with Terence Crawford, to call a guy like him out. And I think, you know, not to say that everybody has a chance in the sport, but it's a dangerous fight for Tio. We know that. And then, you know, Terence Crawford obviously calling out Canelo. It's clear that he wants to accomplish, like I said, and I've been saying throughout this video, something that he's never done before. That's what he wants to do. You know, take a guy like Manny Pacquiao. He's looking at all these legends, fighting world champions, fighting the best fighters out there. He wants Canelo. He wants that big payday, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Why fight you know, a great contender at 47, maybe moving up to 54, and a guy like Boots Ennis, when I have a guy, you know, where I could accomplish 2 missions in one trip, you know, in one journey, and fight a guy like Canelo. I'm going to make a bag. If I lose, which I don't think I'm going to, you know, who cares? I was daring to be great. But, you know, when it comes to the fight with Canelo, I honestly think it's a more competitive fight than a lot of people are saying. A lot of people tell me I'm silly for saying that, you know, I picked Terence Crawford. I think he's too fast. I think he's got too many tools, and it's not going to be easy for Canelo to walk him down. But, you know, it's always a question of, can Crawford withstand those punches from a guy that's been fighting at 68 and has fought at 75 and has the experience with the bigger guys. But it's also going to be an adjustment for Canelo to be dealing with a guy who's much faster than everybody he's been fighting up in those higher weight classes at 68 and 75. When they're much quicker, the hand speed is different, the angles and the talent is much more superior for the guys at the lower weight divisions. When a guy like that comes up in weight and has that offensive ability as well, talking about Terence Crawford, how is Canelo going to adjust to it? So it's you know, both guys have a difficult fight in front of them if it's Canelo and Terence Crawford, but I think it makes a lot of money for the sport. A lot of people would watch that fight, bringing all the stars out. For Canelo and Crawford, that just sounds like a mega fight. Canelo Crawford, that sounds like a huge fight. I'm still a very big advocate for that before Terence Crawford hangs them up, because I think if Terence doesn't get that fight that he wants, where he's making millions of dollars and fighting the cash cow of boxing and still proving something and daring to be great, I don't think he's going to want it. That's why I've been saying the Boots Ennis fight doesn't make sense for him, because he's not going to make as much money, and it's such a high risk fight. And you guys are going to say, yeah, but that's what boxers are supposed to do. That's what the greats are supposed to do. Terence Crawford's taking the businessman approach. What's wrong with that? You know, you're telling me he hasn't earned that right to pick and choose, you know, who he wants to fight. Everybody's done it. Floyd, Manny, Oscar, these guys, and Canelo have all earned that right. So Terence Crawford's right there as well. So we'll see what Terence Crawford does next if he gets that Canelo Alvarez fight. But I personally would love to see it. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next Nabs Fight Media video. Peace.
That's going to do it for another Nabs Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.